Students, it's after a long time, so let's take a quick recap of last lecture. So we had been started our first chapter of geography of part A, geography as a discipline, in which we discussed about the what is geography, where this word geography origin, and some of the definitions given by some scholars like Richard Hartshorne, Hartner, and Alice Slam. Right? So, geography is mainly concerned with the study of the Earth's surface where all forms of life, including human life, exist. And this word comes from the Greek words geo, meaning the earth, and graphos, meaning to write or describe. So the literal meaning of geography is to write about the earth, including all that appears upon it, right? So we discussed some definitions also, and after that there is two types of phenomena which we learned about in geography. First is physical phenomena and second is human phenomena. Physical phenomena like the features which are created by nature, mountain, plain, climate, soil, ocean, all these are included in physical phenomena, while human phenomena consists the features which are created by us, which are created by human beings like buildings, canals, road, bridges, houses, etc. Like, right? So after that we discussed some terms like naturalization of human and humanization of nature. I told you that these are two important terms which you have to understand. Naturalization of human means when the human is totally in the influence of nature. What nature says, human did, right? And the humanization of nature, as we develop the technology, we started to modify the nature with the help of technology. So we have a great impact on nature, or we control the nature to a great extent with the help of technology now these days. So this term is known as humanization of nature, right? After that we discussed that the geography is mainly concerned with the three set of questions. First is what, second is where, and third is why. What means, what is related to the identification means, first of all we identify the feature on the surface of the earth where these are found, which type of features which type of features are found on the earth surface, like elevation, which we called mountains. So mountains, plateaus, some plain areas are also found on the surface of the earth. So what first is what, we identify the features. Second, where, when we identified the features on the surface of the earth, then we saw that where these natural or cultural features are distributed over the earth surface. So this second question is related to the distribution, right? Third is why, and that is why these features are not found everywhere, whether these are cultural features, whether these are natural features, why these features are unequal, unevenly distributed over the surface of the earth. So this set of question is related to the explanation. Then we go through with the circumstances, the factors which influence the distribution of these features. So we go through with the explanation, right? This, all these we discussed in our last lecture. Now come to the next topic, geography as an integrated discipline. Geography as an integrating discipline, it means Geography is not an individual subject. It also took help some of the other sciences, whether these are natural sciences or social sciences. So first, geography adopts a holistic approach in its study. Means it is not an independent subject, but it also took some help with other sciences also to discuss the reality of the world. Second, it also recognizes the interdependencies that exist in the world. All the natural or the human made features are interdependent on each other. Uh, Even plants and animals and human beings, all these are also interdependent on each other. So geography recognizes these interdependencies, why these interdependencies are existing in the world, what are the factors behind it. Third, in present day the world has become a global village, no doubt. Well, before that we have to travel, even we have to travel to one village to another village, it takes a long time. If we have to send a message to our relative which uh, who is living in another village, it takes a long time. But now these days the whole world becomes a global village with the help of technology, with the help of database and reached audio visual media and information technology. Now we can send an email and all the world within a 2 second they got the message, right? So the village is converted into a this world is converted into a global village now. Fourth, the primary aim of natural science and social sciences to understand the reality. Why we read the natural sciences or social sciences? Why we studied it? Because it enables us to understand the reality of the world, and that's why geography took help of these natural sciences and social sciences to represent the facts and to represent the reality of the world before us, right? Number 5, geography is a subject which is capable of making us understand the reality in its partial perspective. Students, remember this: geography is related to the spatial as well as temporal phenomena. Means spatial means space wise, correct? Temporal means time wise. So if we are discussing any phenomena in geography, we discussed it space wise as well as time wise. Like the station A is 1 kilometer far away from station B, okay, and vice versa, right? One aspect is this: when uh, we are talking that station A is far away, 1 kilometer far away from station B. 1 kilometer is representing space. Kitna space, right? Now we can also represent this fact that station A is 10 minutes. We have take 10 minutes to reach the station B from station A. When we are discussing the 10 minutes, it will take 10 minutes to reach the station B from station A. Then we are discussing about the time. So fact is one, but we are discussing it space wise as well as time wise. So it geography is related to the spatial as well as temporal perspective. Six, for all of the above purposes, a geographer must have the knowledge of all the related fields. Why? Because if we are discussing about the political boundaries, Haryana is for Haryana or uh, leave it Haryana. Karnal is 35 kilometer away from Panipat, right? So these are two political boundaries, Karnal and Panipat. So we have to understand these political boundaries first. Then we have to take the help of political science also, right? So these so in this matter, geographer have some basic knowledge of other social sciences also, so that they can represent the facts and reality before us, right? Now, what is the relation of geography with other natural sciences and social sciences? First of all, geography has two broad branches: physical geography and human geography. Part A, 11th standard, that is related to physical geography, because we will study about the natural phenomena in this part, right? In the 12th standard, you will read about the human geography, the features created by human beings, all that is related to the human's activity. So these are the two broad branches of geography. First is physical geography, second is human geography. And now, what is the relationship of physical geography with the natural sciences, and what is the relationship of human geography with the natural sciences? First of all, physical geography and natural sciences. Physical geography includes physical features found on the earth. As I told you, physical features like mountains, climate, soil, water, everything which is created by God, that is known as, or that is studied in physical geography, right? And the natural sciences include geology, which is related to the earth; meteorology, which is related to the atmosphere, meteoroids or etc; hydrology, which is related to the water bodies; and pedology, which is related to the soil. So all these sciences are the different principles of different physical phenomena. Now, physical geography has some important branches like geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, and soil geography. All these are the sub branches of physical geography. Remember that natural sciences include geology, meteorology, hydrology, and pedology. And physical geography have some important sub branches like geomorphology. Geomorphology, now relate this second and third point. Geomorphology comes from the geology, climatology comes from the meteorology, oceanography is coming from the hydrology, and soil geography comes from the pedology. Understood? When we have to studied about geomorphology, how the physical features created over the surface of the earth, what are the climate of the any part of the world, or what are why these climatic changes are going on, how the ocean bodies are spreading on over the surface of the earth, which types of features are found in the surface of in the oceanic bodies, what soil types, all these are studied in the physical geography. But these branches took help from the natural sciences like geomorphology, geology, climatology took help from the meteorology, oceanography took help from the hydrology, and soil geography took help from the pedology, right? So These branches borrow from their respective sciences and enrich geographical knowledge. So they took the help of their natural sciences and enrich their knowledge and represents the facts about these topics from before us. For example, come to the 6 point, students. All these branches of physical geography took help from the other sciences and present the reality, cause, effect, and enrich our knowledge through the facts. When we want to know the facts behind this uneven distribution or spatial distribution or any physical phenomena, we have to took a help of natural sciences which enrich our knowledge by their laws. Now, human geography and social sciences. What is the relationship between the human geography and social sciences? Human geography related to the population, transportation, economic activities, settlements, etc. Human geography, as I told you, in the next year we will study about the human geography, all the phenomena which are related to the human beings. What is the population? What is the distribution of population, density, growth of population? What is the transportation system throughout the world? What type of economic activities are performed by us or human beings? Which type of settlements are found over the surface of the earth? All these we will study it in the next section, which is related to the human geography. Now, social sciences include history, political science, sociology, philosophy, anthropology, economics, and demography, etc. All these are the branches of social sciences. Now, what is the relation of human geography and social science? First, come to the first, history. History and geography are closely related because both are concerned with time and space respectively. As I told you that geography is related to the time as well as space. I also gave you the example of the distance of two stations, right? So geography is related to the time and space. What is the difference? Why there is a difference? When we go through with these questions, we go with the time and space. And similarly, history is also concerned with time and space. Without knowing about our past, we cannot make future plans to develop ourselves and our country. Like we make 5-year plans, right? So first of all, we have to go through with the history of our country. Which type of activities are performing in our countries? What are the conditions? What are the economic condition of our country? Which type of people live in our country? All these aspects influence our future plans. So first of all, we have to go to the past, and then we have to make the future plans. Second, political science. In political science, we are concerned with territory, people, and sovereignty, no doubt. So political geography is interesting in studying the state as spatial unit as well as people and their political behavior. When we studied about the distribution of anything which may be agriculture production, minerals, whatever, when we talked about the distribution, we have to took the help of political science because all these are related to the territory. Third is economics. Economics is related to the production, distribution, exchange, and consumption of goods, no doubt. Economics deals with economic needs of man and the sources of their supply. It is directly related to the human geography because each of these attributes has special aspect which is studied by economic geography. Economic geography is related to the activities. In the next year, you will read about the primary activities, secondary, tertiary for quaternary and quinary activities, which are also related with the economics, and we took help from economics to understand these activities. Despite all these three social sciences, branches of social sciences, other social sciences like similarly population geography is concerned with demography, social geography with sociology, how the people behaves, what is the culture of the peoples in different regions of the world. When we would talk about these features or these phenomena, we took the help of sociology and anthropology. Anthropology is related to the culture of human beings. So when we talk about the cultural geography, we took the help of anthropology. So now you are able to understand that in every field geography is related with the other social sciences. So it is an integrated discipline which represents the fact and reality before us, but with the help of other social sciences. Now, branches of geography. Geography is a discipline which studies the Earth's surface from two perspectives, systematic and regional. Now, for systematic and regional. First of all, definition which is given by Woodbridge and East. According to them, geography may be pursued by two methods. It means we can study these physical or human phenomena by two methods or upon two levels, which may be distinguished as general means which is implemented on all, right, means world geography, and special regional geography when we took a specific region, when we took any individual region, that is known as regional geography, right? So these are geography will study the phenomena upon two levels. First is general, second is special. General is also known as world, and special is also known as regional geography. So geography may be studied either as systematic geography or as regional geography. By this definition, we got the two branches of geography. First is systematic geography, or second is regional geography. Means we can study the phenomena by the two methods. First is systematically, second is regionally. Now, what is systematic geography? This approach of geography was introduced by German geographer Alexander von Humboldt. You have to remember this. This can become in MCQs or in 1 marks question. Systematic approach is given by the German geographer Alexander von Humboldt. What is systematic geography? When we select one geographical factor and study its distribution for the whole world or a part thereof, then it is called systematic geography. Like if we are talking about the climate, in the climate there are two main features. First is rainfall and temperature. When we took these two features, two variables of climate, and studied the temperature and rainfall distribution throughout the world or of a country, that is known as systematic geography, in which we took only one element. Okay, we took one element and studied this element throughout the world or a big part of the world. Second, it presents an integrated form of the area. Integrated form of the area, when we are talking about the whole world, what is the temperature distribution in the world, then we are connecting the areas, then we are connecting the countries, then we are distinguish the countries according to the temperature. So we are integrating these areas. Third, these elements are studied separately with reference to a particular area. This method of study is in geography is also known as topical approach, because different topics for elements complex is our main concern. As I told you, climate, we took an element of climate like temperature or the rainfall. So we took one topic and studied the whole world. That is known as topical approach. It is based on political units. When we are making the differences, we are making the distinguish between the temperature distribution in the world. We are taking the political units. We are, what is the condition, temperature condition in India, what is the temperature condition in USA, we are, then we are taking the political units. Fifth, the study presence of the facts. Why this distribution is uneven, why the temperature in the winters in India is lower, while in the southern hemisphere at that time the temperature is higher. So why these phenomena have differences? When we go through with these questions, we are representing the facts. In the systematic studies, types and subtypes are determined on one particular factor, that is climate. Right? Now, what is the advantage of systematic geography? The main advantage of systematic geography is that some elements are selected in their total reality. Okay, we are not taking all the elements, we are taking only one or two elements and studies these elements in their whole. The second, the concentration is focused on the distribution and analysis of these elements. No doubt, we are focusing on the distribution of these elements, like soil type. We are taking soil type like then we are going through with the systematic approach and analyzing these elements. Right now, second, regional geography. Regional geography, as its name suggests, region, right? Regional, region. So we are taking one region in this approach. We are taking one region and studying all the elements of this region. This concept is given by another German geographer, that is Karl Ritter. Systematic approach is given by Alexander von Humboldt, while regional geography is given by geographer Karl Ritter. Both are the German geographer, right? So regional geography considered the area as a whole first and aims at identifying those geographical factors or components which create the distinct character of the region. We are taking in this approach, we took one region and all the elements, all the factors, whether they are natural, whether they are human. When we discuss all these factors about this region, that is known as regional geography. For example, in systematic geography, I told you that we are taking one element like rainfall or temperature or soil, whatever, and we discuss it as a whole, means throughout the world. But if we took a part of the world, which can be a country, which can be a continent, which can be a state, which can be a district, which can be a part of district, like even your gharonda, even your school, if we took a small region and discuss all about this region, which type of climate is found in this region, which type of soil, which type of minerals, which type of activities are performed in this region, which type of settlements are found in this region, which is the what type of transportation system in this region. So when we took only one region, like we took Gharonda and studied all these factor about the Gharonda, which type of activity are performed in the Gharonda, which type of peoples are, what is the culture of the people, what type of settlements are found in the Gharonda, what type of soil is found in Gharonda, which type of agriculture is performing in Gharonda, with any type of mineral is found in Gharonda or whatever. If we are talking all the features about one region, that is known as regional geography. Means if we are in doing intensive study of one region, right? So second, regional geography studies a particular region with reference to the all geographical elements. For intense study, large regions are further divided into smaller regions. Means when we have to do an intensive study, we convert the regions into smaller regions. Like continent is divided into countries. When we have to do intensive study of country, we will convert into states or district, uh, likewise, right? It present isolated form of the area, isolated form, because we are taking only one region. We are not making any comparison, we are not making any distinguish between two regions or many more. So we are taking only one unit or one region, and we are discussing all about this region only. So it presents isolated form. It is based on geographical units. This study examines the main environment man environment relationship, because when we studied about all the factors of a particular area, we go through with the reasons why this type of agriculture is performed in this region, why the minerals are not existing in this region or existing in this region, right? Likewise, the boundaries of the regions are identified. First of all, no doubt, if we are taking one region, first of all we have to make the boundaries. That region we are going to be started. So this method is known as regionalization. When we identified one region, making boundaries, so this method is known as regionalization. Now, what are the advantages of regional geography? First of all, according to Hartshorne, regional geography is literally what its title expresses: the description of the earth by portions of its surface. When we describe the earth, but not as a whole, we make its portions, no, not like this. Keep when we make it as, we make some lines on the surface of the earth. It's an imaginary lines, and we are taking some portions. We divided the earth into some portions like continents, countries, states, like this, right? And then we studied about these portions and make some conclusions. That is known as the regional geography. So it makes the study intensive. So the study of geography becomes easy and more effective because we divided the earth into different portions to make the intensive study. It examines the man-environment relations. Cause and effect relationship becomes clear. When we talked about India, like, so when if you are uh, if you are telling me that in the northern part of India, the soil is enriched with the minerals and the agriculture is in the prosperous form in the northern India, then we go through with the causes why this happened. The soil is fertile in northern India, not in the southern India. So we go through with the causes, and effect is this region is enriched in agriculture, right? So when we go through with the regional approach, we go with the man environment relationships, because the soil is fertile, so that we are able to do the agriculture in this region. So this is man environment relationship and its causes and effects. The basic principle of geography are easily understood. We come to know the economic disparities among various regions. As I told you, northern plain is enriched in agriculture, plateau region is enriched in minerals, in northeastern states of India, they are enriched in forestry. So that's why every region is not even in economic uh, point of view. There are economic disparities among the various regions because the natural phenomena is not same everywhere. So the study is intensive because area is limited, because we took a small area, and about that area we studied all the elements related to the that area. So it makes our study intensive, right? So mainly branches of geography based on systematic approach and based on regional approach. We will discuss it in our next lecture. Now, if you have any doubt, you can ask. Till now, if you have any doubt, you can ask. Krish, Mayank, Tanya, Tejinder, unmute yourself, beta. Krish, Mayank, Tejinder, unmute yourself, beta.